righty, the Napalm Incident. So, why do you shave? Asked Antonia, the skin goddess, as she prepared to rip off another hunk of hair off my pubis. The question takes me aback. What does she mean, why? Sure, it's painful, stupid, infantilizing, yet a servile act that completely plays into an immature male fantasy. Sure, it's nearly impossible to get all the hair off, causing hours of fussing and various expenditures of money on products that invariably gather dust on the shelf after one use. Sure, it makes my labial folds look like a combination of my grandmother and a little girl. Both highly disturbing images. I stall for time between my clenched teeth. Why do I shave? Yeah, she says, daubing on more glue and ripping off another chunk of hair. Why do you shave all of it? Oh, all of it. Oh, that's an even trickier question. I shave all of it because, well, I didn't actually have much of a choice in the matter. The first time it came off, I wasn't actually the one who did it. So I have just kept going along, trying to, trying for the completely bald, clean, smooth look. We'll get to how close I ever got to that ideal in a second. But in theory, we're going for the clean and smooth, well, because. I wondered if she was asking because she wanted to know in a kinky fashion what I actually got out of being totally shaven. Well, truthfully, it feels great. Great in a sexy way. Great in a way that feels good in jeans, in hose, and skin to skin. A friend once told me how he shaved his head and then would sleep on satin pillowcases. It was the ultimate sensuality, he said. And this was, I imagined, very similar. And the smoother I could get it, the better it felt. To me, all infantilizing and grandmotherly labial folds aside, it just feels good and I love it. But why the question about why I shave all of it? I hated that little fucking tuft right over the top of the crack. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I stretched the skin or scraped the razor, no matter how I positioned my legs or what shaving cream, gel, soap, or temperature of water I tried, I just could not get that tuft completely gone. I went berserk over that tuft. I got a little obsessive compulsive about it. Once it was gone, somehow it had to stay gone. And I just could not keep it off. It's like there is a remnant of a wild boar DNA inside of me that is tenaciously determined to show itself right there. The hair isn't just hair. It's deep hair. It's mean hair, it's desperate hair, protective hair, masculine hair. It makes my otherwise denuded pubis suddenly remind me of an old lover's beard after 3 or 4 days. And not a good old lover. It's the ghost of a generic, shitty old lover, the one who dumped me, who ignored me, or forgot to call me back for days that turned into months, that turned into forever. The tuft is dug in like a Jungian animus, an archetypical shadow, like something that only shows its face on a dark and secret place. The tuft annoys and distracts and infuriates me. It winds its roots around the base of my spinal cord and threatens to take out my entire skeleton if I dare remove it. I'm avoiding her question. I'm thinking that maybe she wants to know if I'm actually a porn star and the need is a professional one. That's kind of flattering, if unrealistic. Or maybe she wants to know why I want the tuft off when everyone else in the world keeps and tends to their tuft. Maybe I'm a freak to hate my tuft. Maybe everyone else's tuft is lovely and soft and feminine, and I'm the only one with a wild boar between my legs. I finally answer the question by telling her the story of the lover who started the whole shaving thing. He denuded me one night and then dumped me the next day. Antonia, the skin goddess, is properly horrified. Yes, I say, not only did he shave me and dump me, he proceeded to take up immediately with another person we work with and flaunted it in front of me for the next 2 weeks. Oh, Antonia, the skin goddess, is definitely on my side for this one. And it's true, I realize, glowing in her indignation. For 2 weeks after, I had to watch him carry on with another girl who was visiting from out of town. He never saw fit to tell her he was involved with me. He was silent. They went out. I itched madly. I cried and went down to my car and beat up my steering wheel and kicked the walls inside the stairwells. And by the time I was able to talk to him again, it was over. And I hated his guts in a way that I never hated anyone's guts before in my life. The whole time I was discovering my inner bitch goddess and trying to crawl into my headphones at work and turning up the Rolling Stones to a volume certainly not approved by the AMA. My little pubic hair was madly trying to regain its former lush luster. Oh yeah, it was growing with a vengeance. It felt like poison ivy, then straight pins, then razor blades. When I thought no one was looking, I started humping the edges of tables and the corners of walls. Then I didn't care if anyone was looking. The second I hit the bathroom, I pulled down the zipper on my jeans and scratched like an old grandpa kicking in front of the general store. And keep scratching until I'd open up the door and go back out. I decided that all my problems would be solved if I could only get it clean and smooth. So I went on the internet, looked at the dozens of products designed to remove hair. You can buy gold-plated epilators that spin around and yank each hair out as you move across it. User reviews included phrases like, took me 2 hours to do 2 inches, and nearly passed out. And if you can get past the pain, it works great. You can buy creams and gels with the names like Coochie Cream and Bare Booty Wax. There are hot waxes and cold salves and shavers and razors contoured with a woman's shape in mind. You can spend $80 on a multi-layered ergonomic shaver, or you can go get a Brazilian hot wax for $55, which made me think that for sure you'd come out looking like the girl from Ipanema, complete with admiring men, a bitchin' tan, and a 1960s soundtrack and a sweet little sarong. My brain reeled. For days, I perused websites obsessively and then quizzed my girlfriends at work for their technique, down to frequency, stroke pattern, and how to deal with unfortunate side effects like redness and itching, and the nasty little red bumps that made the entire region about as sexy as a somewhat warty tangerine rind. This was all new to me, but suddenly I realized it was probably common knowledge to every woman out there. It was like all the grown-up women in the world knew the mysteries of exfoliation and epilation and depilatories and moisturizing just as intimately as all grown-up men in the world knew the perfect way to make a Cary Grant-era concoctions named Manhattans and highballs. I was a 6-year-old again, standing at the edge of my parents' party while everyone spoke in an offhanded way on things that I knew absolutely nothing. Hair was growing on people and annoying them in places I never thought about. Back hair, chest hair, ear hair, facial hair, and as fast as the stuff was curling up out of the epidermis, people were working on removing it. All sorts of people want to remove their hair for all sorts of reasons. Athletes wanted it gone to eliminate wind resistance. Old men wanted it gone to simulate youth. Women wanted it gone so they'd be smooth to the touch like a pair of silk stockings. I wanted it gone. Why? Just to have it gone. I purchased a set of creams designed to remove that stuff permanently and had the smarts after it arrived to refrain from opening the bottles, figuring that maybe someday I may want the hair back. I bought a shaver. I spent long stretches in the bathroom with a pair of tweezers from my Swiss Army knife, pulling out each tenacious wire with agonizing slowness, working until my body cramped, only to look up and realize that after 15 minutes, I'd cleared an area approximately 1/4 of an inch in diameter. Suddenly, my pubic region assumed vast proportions. I felt like a pioneer, looking out over my quarter section of homestead, realizing the whole thing had to be cleared out with a teaspoon. Then, one kid-free Friday night, I hit the local Rite Aid. I'd been obsessing about the issue all week and finally decided that before I buy the works great if you can stand the pain $80 epilator, I'd see what the shelves held. Feeling very practical and proud of my new incremental approach to the problem, I stood in front of a section of depilatories and gels. There were about a dozen of Nair versions, which reminded me of high school commercials and Annette Funicello showing off her sleek legs in the latest 60s bathing suit. Nair for the hair. Sounded like a fine, practical idea. And here was a formula especially made for the bikini area. With my arsenal of new euphemisms, I now knew what the bikini area really meant. Yep, I was entering the world of every woman out there and learning the lingo fast. So I picked that up. Then I saw some tubes of stuff geared to alleviate the bumps, redness, and discomfort from shaving. See, I chided myself, these are not new issues. You are not the only one. So many people have dealt with this in the world that they are making products designed with just this problem in mind. So I picked up a gel that would prevent infection, cool the area, and immediately stop the pain due to hair removal. Neato! Excited, I drove home. It was a Friday night. I had time to muck around in the world of feminine self-care and was going to emerge in a short time with a clean, smooth twat. And I could stop the madness once and for all. I went upstairs, lined up the products, and stripped down. And being a good documentation expert, I read all the directions. I wasn't going to be like all those other girly girls in the world just slapping it on any old way. Nope. I was going to approach this in an intellectual, methodical, sensible fashion. Well, mostly. I didn't have time to do the patch tests they advocated. That was for silly women who have sensitive skin and haven't driven a truck all over the frickin' Midwest. It was for wimps. I knew I was gonna be cool enough not to have sensitive skin. And when I finally did slather the stuff on, I realized that my wild boar hair was going to need a few more extra minutes of depilation just to really get into the roots. So I left it on. Well, perhaps a tad too long. Sure, it stung. It was supposed to sting. Meant it was working. And yeah, my skin turned a fiery red almost immediately. Another good sign. But the problem first started to manifest when I tested a little corner to see if the hair was just going to slide right out, and saw most of my skin coming off on my finger. Not the hair, mind you, just the skin. It took a few extra minutes to realize that it was digging its way into the core of my body while I was gently rinsing it off. I tried a washcloth, but it pulled off more skin. So I started with increasing haste to start rinsing it off, splashing water all over the floor. Did it hurt? Yeah. About 15 minutes later, there I stood with a pubis that looked for all the world like the back of those baboons in the zoo. Bright red, shiny, with peeled skin, and yes, quite a bit of hair still manifesting happily itself through the region. I sizzled. I oozed. I stared at myself in the mirror and thought, man, I've done it this time. But help was at hand, right? I had the miracle tube of stuff that instantly alleviated the pain of hair removal. So I squeezed the stuff generously onto my fingers and slathered that on top of the disaster. That was when I nearly hit the roof. That stuff is what they use on fajitas to keep them burning as the waiter carries them all the way to the table. That stuff is what the military used to exfoliate jungles. It dug into the newly flayed layers of skin and started tunneling down looking for bone marrow. And it never actually quit doing its work. It burrowed it into the smoking ruins and searched out the remnants of living cell tissue, glorying in whatever further destruction it could met out. I rinsed it off, but it was too late. I could not sit. I could not walk. I certainly could not ever wear clothing again. Oh, yeah, I've done it this time. As soon as I could talk, walk, and function again, oh, thank God it was a weekend without the kids, I realized I would survive. My hair survived, too, and kept growing. But after that incident, I was a little bit easier on the obsession. I shaved and got frustrated several times. Ended up with the electric shaver at 4:30 in the morning, having just found one little spot that needed cleaning up. But I was okay. I realized the ability to walk and wear clothes was a pretty good thing to have as one moves through the world. Suddenly, the $55 Brazilian wax jobs seem like a bargain. And if you look around, you can find them for less. Finally, I heard about Antonia, the skin goddess. I let the stuff grow to the requisite 1/4 inch and then went for a visit. Dab, 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 peel, 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 quick conversation, feminine empathy, and we were done. Smooth and clean and lovely. I could have the tuft or not. I could make the tuft look like a heart for Valentine's Day if I wanted. I was in control. I was impressed. So this is what all those other women know about. You just go and pay an expert to take it off. One day, I heard that the guy who started all of this, the shave and run guy, was going overseas to see his latest girlfriend. I realized I had something that could come in handy for them both. I went to his office and gave him a brown paper bag, waiting a moment so I could watch him open it up. He pulled it out and looked at it, and me quizzically. It was the nearly full bottle of Nair and the aftershave Agent Orange. I told him they work best if left on a little longer than directed.